Hello and welcome to the morning sports briefing here on Friday, the 21st of May. Hi, I'm Paul and I'll be your host today. In the news today, we'll bring up to speed with what's going on in the squash, both nationally and internationally, as well as the golf as the PGA Championship has kicked off. Also, there's action in the LPGA as well. The Giro d'Italia continues with another hilly day, but no big changes in the general classification. There's basketball action in the NBA, the NBL, and the Sal's NBL, so lots of b-ball. We have speed A-League signings as well, and we had the first game of the round in the NRL yesterday evening as well. So this is your best way to start the day up to speed with all of the important sports news. And let's start with that squash news. And internationally, the Paul Cole and Joel King will be back in action at the El Gouna PSA Platinum event in Egypt this week. Cole, who is the number 3 seed, is currently ranked number 4 in the world, and got a bye in the first round, as did Joel King as well, who is seeded 7th and ranked 8th in the world as well. So they both got byes in the first round, and we'll keep you up to speed on the morning sports briefing with how they go in that tournament. After a COVID break, there's that tournament followed by to the Manchester Open, and then they will be back to Egypt for the World Tour Finals, and before heading over to Chicago in the USA for the PSA World Championships in July. So lots of a good amount of action there for Paul Cole and Joel King coming up. Domestically, and with the opening of the bubble, we're seeing Australian players coming over to play in New Zealand as well. Coming up, we've got the Barfoot and Thompson Auckland Open, which is a PSA Challenger event, and it's got the biggest prize money and world ranking points so far this year for an event in Australasia. Australia's 2 highest ranked men, Joseph White and Reece Dowling, at 134 and 140 in the world, will be coming over, and they will be the 2nd and 3rd seeds in that one, as local boy Evan Williams, who's 86th in the world, will be the number 1 seed there. Over in the women's draw, and Sarah Cardwell, ranked 59th, and Jessica Turnbull, ranked 66th in the world, will be coming over from Australia in that one. Ranked, they'll be the 1st and 2nd seed there, taking on local players, Emma Miller, who is 97th in the world, and Abby Palmer, who is 117th in the world. So great to see the local competition stepping up as well. Moving on then to the golf, and in the LPGA, Lydia Ko is taking a break ahead of the 2nd major of the year, so she's not in action at the Kingsmill Championship, which is currently being led by Hoos at 5 under par after the first round there. There are still some players out on the course, so we'll see, but she is the clubhouse leader at the moment. The PGA Championship has also started. You can check out our PGA Championship preview that I recorded with Andy Rice, our golf correspondent here on New Zealand Sports Radio. He will be bringing us daily updates from tomorrow from the PGA Championship here on New Zealand Sports Radio. Head over to nzsportradio.com to catch the preview that we did with him, including his Magnificent Seven, Ricey's Magnificent Seven, who he thinks will go well in the tournament. Currently, they're out on the course at the moment. There is a 3-way tie for the lead in the clubhouse, with 3 players at 3 under par, with Bradley Hovland and Kopeka. One of those was in that magnificent seven. So those three, are the clubhouse leaders at the moment. And tomorrow he'll be bringing us reports daily from each round of the PGA Championship. The European Tour currently does not have an event this weekend. Heading over to the cycling, the Giro d'Italia, and after a big shake-up yesterday in the general classification, it was not such a big shake-up today. The break went away and won the stage with Andrea Vendrame of AG2R Citroën winning a two-up sprint against Chris Hamilton of Team DSM. Gianluca Brambilla came across the line third from Trek Segafredo ahead of Kiwi George Bennett from Jumbo Visma, but was relegated after he cut off George Bennett in the sprint. That was all over a disagreement as to how much work the two riders were sharing, chasing down those front two in that one. As I say, overall, the overall classification, they all came in 11 minutes down. 10 minutes down. Egan Bernal retaining his pink jersey, and whilst there was was an attack from Nibali, he took a couple of seconds, but he's down in 11th place overall. So the day was controlled by Ineos Grenadiers. Moving on then to our feast of basketball action, and starting over in the States, 2 games yesterday. The Lakers clinched a 7th seed in the finals. In the playoffs, beating the Warriors 103-100. The Warriors have one more chance to make it into the playoffs when they play against the Grizzlies in the final play, and the Grizzlies beat the Spurs 100-96 to earn that opportunity. Today, the Wizards and Pacers will be playing off for the final place in the Eastern Conference playoffs. The other action was in the Western Conference. The playoffs themselves proper will kick off on Sunday with game 1 for many of the teams. Over in the NBL, and the Breakers were back in action in Auckland. Their first game back for a long time in New Zealand. They're up against the Kings. It was a tight first quarter, 26 all, before the Breakers took the lead ahead of in the second quarter, 25-13, which they were not to relinquish, winning the game 89-81. Double-double with top scorer Finn Delaney with 12 rebounds and 28 points led the way in that one. And he got good help with Randolph getting 13 points, McDowell White 12, Ty Webster 11, and Corey Webster 11 points. So a real team effort there as the Breakers beat the Kings. The Breakers already out of playoff contention. They still sit down in 8th place, but they beat mid-table Kings, so a good result there for the Breakers. Today we will have 2 more games. The 36 will take on the Hawks, and the Wildcats will take on the Taipans there. The Wildcats second in the table, trying to close that gap on Melbourne United at the top against bottom of the table Taipans. So you'd expect them to pick up the win there. Over in the Sal's NBL, and it was a big busy day yesterday, with the Giants beating the Nelson Giants beating the Canterbury Rams 91-79. The Taranaki Mountaineers coming up short against the Hawke's Bay Hawks 87-90. And the Wellington Saints with a big win over the Franklin Bulls 111-82. For the on the ladder then, what that means is that we still have two unbeaten teams at the top of the table. The Wellington Saints are 5-0, and the Hawke's Bay Hawks are 4-0, leading the way ahead of a very tight table after that, with the Bulls, Sharks, Huskies, and Nuggets all on 3 wins from their games so far. In the A-League, and good news for the Wellington Phoenix is that Ben Waine has turned down and moved to England. There were apparently a bunch of overseas teams, European teams, were interested in his signature, Coventry City being the main one there. But he has turned that down for a 3-year deal with the Phoenix. So that's a good sign for the Phoenix, who've recently also signed midfielder Clayton Lewis and goalkeeper Ollie Sale over the past couple of days. So good to see the Phoenix putting together their squad for next season and retaining their talent there. In results in the A-League, and there was no game yesterday, but the Newcastle Jets will take on the Brisbane Roar tonight, and we'll see the Phoenix against Western United tomorrow night on Saturday, the 22nd. Over in the NRL, and we had the first game of week 11 as the Cowboys beat the Knights 36-20 in that one. Don't forget you can that we have our standoff show on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. and that goes through all of the NRL action and news. Super Rugby Trans-Tasman will also kick off this evening with 2 games. I will be live straight after the first one of those, as he quickly reminds himself that it's the Hurricanes versus the Rebels with post-match reaction, and that's followed up by the Western Force versus the Highlanders. You can check out our preview of the Super Rugby Trans-Tasman round that is available as a podcast. Just search New Zealand Sports Radio on your favourite podcatcher, and also as a video on Facebook or YouTube. You have now started the day the best way with all the important sports news. I'll be back tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. with the morning sports briefing.